look, we asked Jay Cutler about this same issue, and he said it's very clear that they don't believe in his work ethic. Said that we know why they put that in there. They think he's playing video games all week, that he's leaving, that he's there at the facility when he has to be, and he leaves and he's putting no extra work into the game plan. This is another sign that I think Cliff Kingsbury, while he believes Kyler Murray is very talented, someone tweeted me and said, well, didn't Kingsbury kick Rosen to the curb and bring him in? Because that's his guy, right? And what's the problem? Well, yeah.
3 years deep now.
You could bring him in saying this guy is way more talented.
Well, Steve Keim did. Cliff Kingsbury was hired the same year they kicked Rosen to the curb.
Yeah, well, but the Cardinals bring him in. Yes, but my point being, even if that's the case and they are tied at the hip, I could think from the outside, boy, this guy's more talented than the guy we have here. I've got a better chance of success with his skill set, his ability to run, everything else. That's perfectly reasonable, and Kyler Murray is a better quarterback, right? But he doesn't believe in him. I mean, Hutton, you've knocked on Kingsbury's game plan, and it didn't look good. We don't know what Kyler Murray knew about the game plan or not based on what the Cardinals think about it. I mean, point being, I don't know who's right or wrong. There's mudslinging going back and forth, and even if it's thinly veiled.
Well,
now, look, here's an example. If Mike Vrabel came in and Taylor Lewan shook his head on a play call in practice, and he said, hey, here's the headset. You call it, big boy. You know, for an example, that's a rapport they have with a guy established on the team. If I felt that way about Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury, and there wasn't this huge story about his study clause in his contract, I would think the exact same thing. I wouldn't think twice about it. They're joking around. He waved him off, and he said, okay, you come and call it then. And then he went over and tried to do his coach's job for a while. But given the history, given the major story of the study clause, there's something seriously up with those two and what they think about each other.
Well, this is after the big extension. You know, Kingsbury, whether or not he believes in him is a moot point, given the fact that he just signed an extension through 2027, and then the team just executed a big contract extension for Kyler Murray. So they're married to each other, whether they want to be or not. They both signed up for it, not once but twice. And Kyler Murray's the former number 1 overall pick. At times, he can play this Houdini act, and he looks phenomenal. You know, the Heisman Trophy winner in him comes out. First 6.5 games of last season. Top record in the league, and he was putting on a show. And then the second half of the season was the exact opposite. And that playoff loss, it can be on a quarterback for a while, but at some point, the Ken Wisenhunt version of a game plan comes out where if a guy's getting lit up in the first half and you do nothing about it in the third and fourth quarter when you're trying to get back in it and win a playoff game, that's on coaching. If you do not make the adjustment to your already horrible game plan of not mass protecting against Aaron Donald and that defensive front, that's not Kyler Murray. That's on Cliff Kingsbury that put that offensive game plan together.
That game may very well be on Cliff Kingsbury, but if I'm going to point a culprit out and say this guy's great the first 6 games of the season and he falls off a cliff, no pun intended, the back half of the season or the end, that kind of lends into the idea that he's great early when there's not a lot of tape on him and his teammates and the team, and then he falls off as the season goes on because he's not preparing to the same level.
One of those contracts is a lot
easier. And that's what Cliff
easier.
Kingsbury and Steve Keim are saying in this contract.
One of those contracts is a lot easier to swallow than the other. Kingsbury doesn't make Murray money. But if you were to fire Kingsbury to stick with Murray, the guy you hire has to have a lot of the same offensive thinking as Kingsbury. Maybe a different personality, but a lot of the same mindset in how to use Kyler Murray.
Well, and I don't even know if it's the same. Like, if Cliff Kingsbury is actually a good NFL coach, which we still don't know about at all. I mean, he wasn't a great college coach.
We should know about.
He was a good offensive coach, but offensive coordinator. If you're a good NFL offensive coach, you make it work with a great quarterback. And if Kyler Murray's a talented quarterback, you fit a system around your quarterback, and you make it work. So
they both got
that would be on Cliff Kingsbury if it's that. But my point is, even the greatest NFL minds and offensive minds wouldn't be able to make it work with someone they feel like isn't all in with what they're doing or isn't all in on preparing for the game.